Okay, now for the final video, we're going to go to question 7 and 38, and rest of the questions 42 through 45. So here we have a system of equations here, and the first equation is solved for y. So I can substitute that into the second equation, which says 2x plus 5y, but I know what y is. Y tells me here that is y is equal to 2x plus 2. So I'm going to substitute with a parenthesis 2x plus 2. So that's my 5y, and 2x is going to be equal to 19. All right, I need to distribute now the 5. So it's going to say 2x plus 10x plus 10 equals 19. So I can combine this 2 into 12x, and I can subtract 10 from each side of the equation, giving me 12x is equal to 9. Now I divide by 12. Divide by 12, and x is equal to 9 over 12, which if we divide both the top and the bottom by 3, this is going to give me 3 over 4. I only have one answer that has 3 over 4. That is 8. However, if you didn't not have it and you needed to find y, the way we find y is now that we have x, we're going to use this very same equation, and instead of placing 2x, we're going to replace the value of x, which is 3 over 4 plus 2. So multiplying 2 over 1 times 3 over 4 is, we multiply across 6 over 4 plus 2, which is 3 over 2 plus 2. So we know that 3 over 2 is 1.5 or 1.5. So this is 3.5. If not, you can use, let me see if I can bring the calculator here and do it that way. With the calculator, we can do, okay, the fraction 3 over 2 plus 2 equals 3.5. And we know that 3.5 is the same as 3.5. Okay. So that's good. So pause the video if you need to take your notes, as I need to clear my drawings in order to scroll to question 38. Forgive for the time delay, but I need to get to the question that I need to get, and I'd rather do it on the same format. Okay. So here, this one is why I left it for the last video, because you can see that it's a little difficult. So yeah, I did. That's why. Thank you. So we have a multiplication of the cube root of 18 and 5 times the cube root of 6. So I'm going to pull the 5 out. Then I have the cube root of 18 times the cube root of 6. So I'm just pulling the 5 to the front because it's the coefficient. Right. What I can do is, because they have the same index 3, I'm going to use a bigger radical, the cube root of 18 times 6. All right, 18 times 6, 48, 60 is 108. So 5 times the square root of 108. But that has to be equivalent somehow to 15 times the cube root of a number x. So if I have a 5 here, I'm missing 5 times 3 would be ideal. So let's go ahead and factor 108 to see what the cube root of 108 might be. So for that, I'm going to start with the factors of 108. I can divide by 2 and get 54. Divide by 2 again, and I get 27. There we go. Divided by 3 is 9. Divided by 3 is 3. Divided by 3 is 1. So we're at the end. So these are my factors. My root factors of 108 are 2, 2, and 2 to the second power, and 3 to the third power. So I'm going to write that in there. So 5, the cube root of 3 to the third power, and 2 to the second power. Because the exponent is the opposite of the square root, I can cancel this with the index 3, and I'm gonna get 3 out. So 5 times 3. And I stay with the same radical with the same index, and 2 to the second power will become 4. So this is 15, and the cube root of 4. If I compare that to this, 15 and the cube root of a number, the number has to be 4. So if I just put 4 there, let me clear that. Let me erase that. And this is algebra 2, by the way. So that is 4. So, and that's what I have here. So x is 4. So what I have to do to answer that question is simply type 4 with the keyword and move on. Okay, so at this time, I know that that was a lot of concepts in one, so I'm gonna ask you to pause the video so you can keep the notes in the video. I'm gonna clear all my drawings. I'm gonna move on to the end of the test as we had done up to question 41. Now we fill in the gaps for those questions we had not done in the first 2 videos. Okay, so here we have blackberries. Notice your letter B here for blackberries in the keyword. So, and this 8 per pound, so that's gonna be 8B. Then we have the raspberries. You see the R here, and they are 9 per pound, so plus 9 off. And Janelle can spend a maximum, so she could spend 40. The money can be equal to 40, or the money can be less than 40, because maximum means no more than 40, but it could be less. So I'm going to do my less than or equal to 40 to indicate that the maximum is 40. You can go up to 40, so you can go 38, 39, 39, 50, 40, but no more. So that's why the inequality symbol, which is right here. So now all I have to do is rewrite that. It says create an inequality to represent how many pounds of each fruit Janelle can buy. So now I'm going to type that in the same way it was. So it's 8, and let me double check that it says 8. 8 is B, so 8B plus 9R. My inequality symbol right there, and then 40, and I'm done. So pause if you need to before I erase. I'm going to erase all my drawings. And now that you have the inequality set up, you can move on. Let's go to the next question, 43. Okay, so here it says that Cynthia buys some tools, and the value of her tools after T, the number of years. So we're going to have X is gonna be the time T, right? And the value V is gonna be the Y. And so we have right here, V of Y is equal to 400 times an amount inside a parenthesis to the power of X or to the power of T. So it tells me that T is going to be 1 year. When T or X is 1, the value will be 380. And after 2 years, when t or x is equal to 2, the value will be 361. So this is decreasing exponentially because t is the exponent for all of them. Okay, so if t was 0, what is y when x is 0? So anything raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So for c, we will have 380 if t was 0 times 1 minus 0.05 to the 0, anything to the power of 0 if t is 0 becomes a 1. So that would be 380. So if this would be 0, 380, and D would also be 0, 380. But what I'm looking is for 1 and 380 right here. So I can eliminate answer C and D because the exponent 1 is going to give me a value lower than 380. So I can only have to check A and B. And I'm looking for when the exponent is 2, what's going to happen. So let me start with A. If I do A is equal to 400, of course, A meaning A is a V or 1. So 400 times 1 minus 0.05. Let's bring the calculator for that. Easier to do it that way. So what's inside the parentheses? Parentheses first, remember. So 1 minus 0.05. That's 0.95 to the power of 1 is 0.95. So 400. So let's multiply times 400. Hold on. So 0.95. Clear all. 0.95 times 400 is 380. So we're on track. So let's hope that when we square it, we get 361 and then the answer will be 8. So I'm going to go ahead and raise 1 minus 0.05, which is 0.95. Let me clear that. I'm going to say 0.95 to the power of 2 times 400 will give me 361, will it? So A will be equal to 400 times 0.95 squared. So in my calculator, I'm going to clear all, and I'm going to .95 to the second power. I have a key right here, the x squared. That's 0.9025. So 400 times 0.9025. Let's multiply that times 400. So look at the calculator, 0.9025 times 400. Look, the answer is already on top. I don't have to press equal or anything. It's 361 when t is 2. So, because we squared it. So, yep, that checks. So my answer is 8. All right. So this is order of operations. Parentheses first, then the exponent, and then you multiply at last. Good. So we're almost there. I'm going to erase. So if you need to pause as I clear all my drawings. Choose A and move on to the next question. Okay. So this is basic quadratic parabola equation. So I'm going to draw y equals x squared, and that's going to be a parabola. That's going to look like this. or so. Negative 2 squared is 4, so something like that. Okay, so now that is going down, so that means that we have a negative sign in front of the x squared, and now the parabola would go this way. Let me erase that other one. Okay, so that's negative x squared. Okay. Now I noticed that this parabola went to the left. So in order to go to the left, I need a parenthesis with a plus something, plus any number h to the second power and negative y equals. So when I have a positive, the parabola moves to the left. When I have a negative, the parabola would move to the right if I had a negative. So if I had a negative, it would go this way, but that would mean y equals negative x minus some number h to the second power, right? And we're still at the center. So it moved to the left, so it has to be 1, and then it goes up. Let's see how many units this parabola goes up from the center. It goes up from here to where it moved 3 units. That makes sense. It moved 3 units to the left. So then it goes up 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's why you have the plus 4 at the end. So that's the movement of the parabolas. You need a parenthesis plus, so that way when you do something like x plus 3 equals 0, then the number that you need is negative 3. So that's why x is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. That's why inside the parentheses it needs to be positive to move to the left. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down a little bit so that we can see all my choices. Yep, that's minus 4. So if we look at choices, C and D, they are going up. So I'm going to cancel choices. I'm going to cancel choices C because that's a parabola going up. And so is D. It's gonna look that way and it doesn't look that way. So let me cancel that. This one, they're both going down, but one is moving to they're both rising up 4, but one is moving to the left of the y-axis and the other one is moving to the right of the y-axis. So I need the one that is going to the left of the y-axis, which is when the parenthesis is positive. And so that would be A. A has a negative here, a positive inside the parentheses, and then going up 4 units. So that's what that is. So we have the parabola opening downwards because of this negative sign, moving to the left because of the positive inside the parentheses. And finally, it goes up 4 units. It goes up 4 units. Right here at 4 because of the plus 4 at the end. So those are the movements. All right. So that is a question. The choice is A. So remember, going up is a positive x squared. Going down is a negative x squared. Moving to the left or right depends on the parentheses. That moves to the left. And x minus h moves to the right. And then the parabola will go, if we're here, on a negative. If it goes up, sorry, that means that we have a positive number after everything else. The important thing is the exponent, right? And if we go below, if we go down this way, then that means that after x plus h or x minus h to the second power, we now subtract some number, which in this case we added, and then the number was 4. My constant was 4. Okay, so that's the explanation right there. Negative x squared goes down, x squared goes up, and that's the explanation for the parabola movements. Close your video, as we have, I believe, only one question to go to. So A was my choice, right, because the other one moves to the right. B moves to the right, and C and D go up, not that. So choosing A, I'm going to the last question. Okay, radicals. Great. So what do we do with the radicals? Equivalent to the square root of 24 over the square root of 8. Whenever we have a fraction, we have the ability to either go from a long radical that contains the whole fraction, or two small radicals that we can make it into a large one. It's all the same. So that becomes 24 over 8. And 24 divided by 8 is 3. So because I can combine the small radicals into a big one on the fraction, 24 divided by 8 is 3. My answer is equal to the square root of 3. So I'm going to click here. And obviously this means radical 3, all quantities, we can put a denominator 1 as if we were going to add fractions. So this is opposite. This is 1 over the radical 3. So the square root of 3. So we're not going to use that. So that's a no. The square root of 16 is 4. So that's another no. Okay. Let's just, for the next problem, let's just simplify. I have a 2 on the top times a radical 6 and times a radical 2. So I can cancel 2 divided by 2 into a 1. So I get, again, I'm going to make the 2 small radicals into 1 tall radical. And it's 6 divided by 2, which is the square root of 3. So this one checks also. That is the same when canceling as 6 over 2, 6 divided by 2, which is 3. So we have 2. Let's see if the last one checks. If we notice, the denominator here is the square root of 8, and the denominator here is the square root of 8. So all we have to ask ourselves is if is 4 radical 6, I get that from here, equal to the square root of 24, because the denominators are the same. I have the square root of 8, and I have the square root of 8 here, so we don't even need to go to the denominator. Is 4 radical 6 the same as the square root of 24? Well, let's break down 24 again into the prime factorization. Divided by 2 gives you 12, divided by 2 gives you 6, divided by 2 gives you 3, divided by 3 gives you 1. So my 3 factor is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. So if I get that 24, I can have as 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. I know that this is now square root. The index is 2. So it takes 2 inside to come up to get 1 outside. So that will be 2. Because of the index 2. So that will be 2 times the square root of 2 times 3, which is 6. So I'm getting 2 times the square root of 6, but what I have is 4 times the square root of 6. Close, but not exact. So this one does not work either. So based on that, the only ones I'm going to click are the first one and the fourth one. Those are the ones that work. Let me erase everything else. Let me double check here the 24 divided by 212 by 26 by 23. So it's 4 and 6. 4 times 6 is 24. Could have done it this way. Also, let me do it this way. 24 can be broken into the square root of 4 times the square root of 6. The square root of 4 is 2, so it's 2 radical 6. And once again, that is not equal to what they gave me on the last choice. They gave me 4 radical 6, not 2 radical 6. So the last choice does not work either, so no. Now let me erase everything that's, you can pause if you want. Let me erase everything that doesn't work. They don't work. The only thing that works is 1 and 4. And having that in there, that's what I'm gonna mark. I mark that, and I mark that. I clear everything, pause if you have to. And I'm ready to submit my test. By clicking next, it's gonna tell me to review the ones I did on the other videos, and that's okay. And then you let somebody know that you're finished and follow their directions. Good luck, study hard, and you can get a great score on this. And the last thing I'm gonna say is my name, Mr. Serrano, out.